so. Everybody knows that you cannot really call yourself a Monster Hunter content creator if you haven't made a monster tier list, right? Well, that's why I don't call myself one. But seriously, I mean, I have videos about Lost Ark, videos about Warcraft, a podcast series. Ooh, what's that? An interview with game developers? But yeah, while I've been covering Monster Hunter for a while, I actually have a lot of different interests. And yet, I keep coming back for more Monster Hunter. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. I have absolutely no criteria for this tier list, so don't expect me to make any sense. Let's get to it. Starting off with Ajarakan, S tier immediately. You're gonna tell me that the breakdancing into Dive Bomb is not the coolest thing? Besides, I really like the idea that they wrap their bodies in molten metal. It explains the way that they create explosions when they fight. And you can actually see how they use this against you. The shoulder tackle is not just slow because they are trying to telegraph this move a lot. It is slow because Ajarakan is purposely dragging his shoulder on the floor to create friction. God, this word is fucking overused by this point. Hence, why so many sparks come out. This dude literally raises his body temperature as he fights you, because that means he can use stronger attacks. But it will also make his body softer, making him take more damage. 10 out of 10, amazing monster design inspired by old Japanese folklore and with really cool mechanics that are reflected in his behavior. Fulgur Anjanath. I don't know, I've seen this guy before. I mean, in general, I really like Fulgur. He's like a glam rock band member with the colors and the electric design on its stripes. He does look a bit washed on his Guardian version. I guess if he died overdosing on Welk, that would actually check out as a glam band member. He's definitely a spectacle with the amount of fireworks that come out of his attacks. But I guess the impression he left on me this time wasn't so big because I had seen him before. A tier. Arkveld. You're stupid, go to D tier. The way that he uses his chains to fight is cool, but I absolutely hate the idea that this creature is capable of flight. What do you mean you can flap those chains around and they won't throw you off balance? You really want me to believe that some crinkled armpit hair can lift your weight? Nah, dude. I mean, I get that a monster doesn't always have to be grounded, but this straight up just looks stupid. It's like when I first saw a Tigrex flying GU. Shit looks straight up silly. Okay, I might be a bit biased because I had to farm Arkveld for a month during the release of Wilds, and that wasn't a good time. If you ask me, he's actually one of the few monsters that are really cool to fight once you understand his mechanics. Going from one chain break to the other, flashfoot sniping his attacks and offsetting his sequences is actually quite satisfying. I can see a lot of inspiration from the way that Nergigante was designed, with specific part breaks that could give you damage windows. Not only that, but he also has a completely reasonable, fair, acceptable, bullshit-ass hitbox on one of his moves. Guys, I don't think the tail's what hit me there. Is that milk on my face? Guardian Arkveld. Yeah, he's only on C tier because of his soundtrack privileges. Somehow they really wanted this monster to have like a tragic backstory and to make you feel sorry for it. And he just like me fight real. Except I don't care. But then if you remove him and you listen to his music theme, it's like, how could this happen? Oh, the humanity! Balahara. So, I did a joke for this monster in my first ever video about Wilds, and I'm going to do it again. I mean, come on, dude! The Giga Drill monster that will pierce the heavens is not only equipped with a piercing tail, but also a three-headed, drill-shaped mouth and a built-in mud ejection system. The fact that Capcom managed to transform the different designs and engineering principles of drills into a single biological creature shows you that their monster design is still at the top of their game. They do not plan on stopping making peak at any moment now. S tier? More like Blangonga. Yeah, I don't know, man. I fought you in GU as well. You're dumb. I get that greatsword users get to feel like they're on the Dose cinematic, but that's not enough for me. Also, why is there a weak point on his ass when he does his ice breath attack? Is he like clenching too hard back there? That would actually be very funny. D tier. Chatacabra. So this is the monster with the closest name to El Chupacabras. And I just think that it is so fitting because the village in the Windsward Plains is actually quite scared of Chatacabras in general. It wouldn't be too crazy to think that they have their own horror stories going on about how Chatacabras can steal your lunch money. Anyway, so this monster has a frog theme going on, and I really like that they went as far as to make his skin glisten a little bit, which suggests that they tried to keep themselves moisturized, pretty much like frogs do. Not only that, but it seems that their saliva is quite sticky, something that they use to make rubble and other minerals stick to their arms. They will literally drag their arms on the floor and add a D4 blunt damage modifier to their punches. So cool! Kinda reminds me of Ghost Harag a little bit. He goes into A tier. Congalala! Listen, this monster deserves credit. I'm not much of a fan, but if I was a 5-year-old, this monster would make me really happy, okay? Just... he farted. Ah shit, I'm still recording? I will give him props for the cool ability to adapt the qualities of the mushrooms that he eats. That really is some Avatar shit, you know? The 4 elements, neurotoxins, explosions, shit, and piss. Marvelous. It's funny to picture other animals scattering at the sight of his farts. B tier for Congalala. Doshaguma. You know what? When I started playing the beta, I found Dosha so dumb. Like, his hitboxes are weird, his face is ugly as fuck, and I don't know if Capcom was trying some weird fur textures on him, but he don't look too good. Maybe it's because I can't play wilds in anything but the lowest settings. But anyway, I don't really feel any type of way about Dosha. He's just like a big bear. Oh, I see now. Your face is like that because that's the face of death. God damn! So yeah, I mean, this is how you know the developers are really fond of this one. This amount of aura farming was not given to every monster in Wilds, just for the implications of how terrifying it would be for the average person to find a Doshaguma. This one goes into B tier. Guardian Doshaguma. You know, a lot of people find Guardian Doshaguma like whatever, but I actually like him quite a lot, and this is my reasoning. Guardian Doshaguma seems to be using moves that regular Doshaguma doesn't use, like throwing snot at you, and in general taking advantage of the height difference that he can create by standing on his hind legs. This really makes me wonder, is Wyveria really just copying the monsters they recreate as Guardians? Or do they study their properties and actually try to create guardians with the goal of outperforming the real thing? Because to me, it would be perfectly reasonable for a regular Doshaguma to like have a lot of mucus in their nostrils, but it just doesn't occur to them to use it as a weapon. They also don't stand on their hind legs as much as Guardian Doshaguma does. And I think the people in Wyveria knew that Doshaguma's height could be a very strong evolutionary advantage. So they tinkered with its behavioral tendencies to make it act like this, to try and improve on the original design. Obviously, this is just a theory, but it's still a pretty cool headcanon, so for this, Guardian Doshaguma goes into A tier. Gore Magala! Hey, yeah, whatever man, fuck you, you go into D tier. It was such a joy to fight you in GU. It was actually fun to fight you in Sunbreak. Now you're just this particle mess with bloated HP pools, even though you're not even the main character of this title, and for some reason, they insist on making you stronger just so that the For You Glazers can maintain their superiority complex. Go away! GRAVIOS! I suppose I should make a gravelly voice because this is GRAVIOS! Hey, listen, GRAVIOS is just a cool rock. Cool rocks don't have to do much else, but he holds a special place in my heart because... Do I need to say more? Anytime I'm feeling a bit down, anytime I need something to cheer me up, I just grab my charge blade and make numbers go brrr with SAD. GRAVIOS takes so much water damage that I can feel my brain chemistry changing when I hunt him. I do feel kinda bad for Gravios, because it's almost like you can bully him with green sharpness. And this was supposed to be one of the monsters that teaches you the value of sharpness. Like, nobody likes having their attacks bounce off, but here, it's like you really have to try to make that happen. It is what it is. Anyway, Gravios is S tier. Gypceros. While I do think that the feigned death mechanic is pretty charming, I don't think he got much else going on. He's just like a silly goose TM. And to be fair, it is always appreciated to have a monster like that on the roster. Once I started playing GU, I did feel kinda sad that Gypceros doesn't have the ability to steal your items. I think that as a monster, he's just like this troll, like he's just playing tricks on you as a part of his personality. When he stole items from me in GU, and I saw it was a mega potion, it got so personal so fast. I would start getting progressively more angry at him, to the point that his moveset didn't just feel annoying, but almost seemed like he was mocking me. He doesn't have this ability in Wilds, which is sad, but he still retains this like annoying ass attitude. He goes into B tier. Hirabami. Very much like Gravios, I really like Hirabami because I can obliterate them with Insect Glaive. Now, if I were to describe other things that I like about Hirabami, it would go something like this. As you and your handler make your way through the ice shard cliffs in order to hunt your next target, the cold, stony passages of what once was an ancient civilization whistle as the wind caresses every nook and cranny of the imposing ruins. You can notice that every now and then, the howling of the wind stops, and the long, ragged cloth pieces that hang from the ceiling stop moving altogether, as if the whole place became frozen in time. Somehow, the stillness of such a vast structure feels more disquieting than the persistent whispers of the wind. You walk into a room filled with these ghostly cloth pieces that sway ever so slightly while they hang from the ceiling. You check up on your handler, who seems to be just as mesmerized as you are by this place. But then, you notice from the corner of your eye, something moves. You quickly turn around, only to find that there doesn't seem to be anything. You could have sworn that one of the cloth pieces just moved, as if something yanked it out of place. The absence of the wind grows ever more present. You have a terrible feeling about this. You hear it, a strange, almost rhythmic clacking coming from behind you. You turn around, only to see a horrible looming shadow above your handler. You open your mouth to warn them, but you can only watch in horror as the trail of blood grows ever longer, and their head keeps rolling on the ground. No, listen! When Hirabamis go to sleep, they turn into this! They try to blend in with the cloth pieces from the ceiling! The only reason why nobody is afraid of Hirabamis is because they explode if you even glare at them. But if you ask me, I would be terrified of these things. Flying centipedes with camouflage and guillotines for tails? Nah, bro, I'm good. I'd rather fight Kezu. S tier. Jin Dahaad. So you're the guy who fucked up the entire development cycle of Wilds, huh? So much for a damn refrigerator. God damn. If only you weren't so cool and your gear didn't go so damn hard, I could put you lower in the tier list. But nah, you had to be this ice lizard that is metal as fuck and got a cool theme song. The fact that Capcom convinced me that a lizard this big could climb walls because it uses its ice generation to instantly freeze its claws onto the surface it stands on is a level of evolutionary ingenuity that almost makes me angry. S tier for you, you fucking beautiful ass metal gecko. Lagiacrus. I'm afraid to say that Lagiacrus didn't hit as hard for me since I'm a filthy fiver, but the story quest with Eric and Lagiacrus was enough to strike a really strong impression of this monster in me. Besides, I appreciate the small minigame that can mix it up a bit. If you want to know my impressions about Lagi, I have a whole video about his introductory quest, but for now, let's just put him in A tier. Lala Barina. S tier immediately! No, you don't understand. If you rearrange the letters of the name Lala Barina, you get La Bailarina. Or, I mean, almost. You're missing one eye, but still, it roughly translates to the female dancer in Spanish. This explains the inspiration of this monster both in moveset and in aesthetic. When you see Lala fight, you should be picturing this at all times. Not only that, but Lala Barina is known for using a defense mechanism that is seen in tarantulas as well. They kick their hairs on their backs and spray them against any aggressors. Isn't that the coolest thing? Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate how these two pictures have the same fucking energy? Slay! Slay your enemies! Misutzune. So obviously it's been very interesting to see how they made Misu have like a deviant transformation. Like, it really took everyone by surprise with how this is maybe a hint of how Violet Misutzune are originated. Oceanis even dropped a video about deviants recently, and I learned that the reason why the actual variant is called Soul Seer is because that variant of Misu is actually blind. And it follows the sound of bubbles popping when they make contact with its surroundings. We cannot really say that Wild's Misu is like an actual Soul Seer, but seeing this in-between state is pretty cool. And the change in sound effect from the bubbles kind of plays into this idea of Soul Seer's blindness, as they become much louder when they pop after he transforms. Now, the one thing that I find rather curious about Misu is how apparently the male Misutsunes get so damn horny during mating season that they go on a rampage and start to overextend into other territories in search for a mate. Honestly, same. The point is that Misu is one of those really interesting ecology design decisions because they were really specific about how pissed they get during their mating season, and that's a choice. It really makes me wonder if I will ever find an incredible noun or characteristic of exclusively lavish behavior to describe this. We will never know. A tier. Nerscylla. You know what? People gave so much shit to the Monster Hunter movie, but let me tell you, Nerscylla's farmed so much fucking aura in that movie. The fact that they not only hunt Gypceros, but also skin them and use their leathery carcass as armor is such a goddamn cool ecology trait. Say what you will about Wilds as a game, but Capcom just doesn't fucking miss with their ecology design and their environmental storytelling. Did you know that Nerscylla, while it is wearing Gypceros skin, is weak to fire? And take a wild guess as to what is the elemental weakness of Gypceros. That's right. Fucking brilliant, dude! And it gets even cooler when you realize that once you break the Gypceros' leathery armor, Nerscylla is then weak to thunder. What saddens me though is that Nerscylla might just be the only monster that justifies the use of the weapon swapping system. In theory, you could start the fight with a fire weapon and then swap to a thunder weapon once you burn the Gypceros hide. But then you go on Kiraniko and his elemental hitstones are shit. Also, I did some digging and apparently Nerscylla's name comes from the combination of the name Nergal, Mesopotamian god of plague and war, and the name Neosonascylla, an orb weaver spider. However, I believe there might be another explanation. After checking this totally reliable Latin dictionary, I found that the word ner is very similar to the word nere in Latin, which is apparently the verb to weave. Not only that, but Scylla is a monster from Greek mythology, a woman cursed by the goddess Circe, whose lower body became an amalgamation of 6 dog forms springing from her thighs. And how many legs does Nerscylla have? 6. This theory makes no fucking sense, don't quote me on it. I don't want to create another devil you eating its tail situation. S tier for Nerscylla. New Udra. Time for some octopus facts! I think the best way to showcase why New Udra is so cool is to just show you this clip. Hell yeah! Octopi can in fact squeeze through extremely narrow and tight spaces, which is something New Udra can also do despite its large size. Have you noticed how pretty much all its tentacles are just great hit zones? Well, did you know that 2/3 of an octopus's neurons are distributed among their tentacles? I mean, this creature has not 1, not 2, it has 9 brains. This explains why they are so incredibly intelligent. They can display insane precision with each of their tentacles, and they are known for using different objects as tools to hunt and to hide from predators. This might be a bit of a reach, but this could also explain why is it that new Udra takes so much damage on every tentacle. You're basically hitting parts of the body that are extremely sensitive, since it has such an intricate and vast neurological circuit. Also, have you seen the small tube they have next to their head? This is known as a funnel, an organ that octopuses use to eject water to propel themselves, and this is also what they use to shoot ink. Capcom basically saw this and said, nah, make it shoot fire! How cool is that? So yeah, this one, it's extremely easy. This one goes into S tier, immediately S tier for new Udra. Guardian Evony Odogaron. Something, dragon farts, dog, something, C tier. Quematrice! Do you know the legend of the Quematrice? The word quema means it burns in Spanish. So this is definitely a play on words between the word burn and cockatrice, a mythical creature said to have had 2 legs, a serpent-like body, and the head of a chicken. With this new information, you might have realized why all of the Quematrice's weapons look like some burner or lighter of some sort, representing the power of the raging cock. Its armor displays a heavy hint at the Musketeera aesthetic, giving you drip full of style and gallantry. Not only that, but the arena quest, Ignition to the Top, has a total banger of a soundtrack. I played this so much, I actually think I can use the bow now. Placing the Quematrice in this tier list is the easiest thing of my life. Why yes, it's an S tier monster. Fear me, if you dare! Rathalos. Man, Rathalos is so much variable when you have flash puts, and aerial dunks have never been easier to exploit. What I really appreciate about this monster is that, from a design perspective, Rathalos is the perfect flagship. One of the tenets of character design is that you can pretty much identify them by looking at their silhouette or just looking at their color palette. This is the reason why there's so many crossovers between Monster Hunter and different product brands. Because you can basically take Rathalos' shape or color scheme and apply it to anything. The Fender guitar that you can find in-game being a perfect example for that. More known examples of this can be seen in something like Garfield, which let's not dive deeper into that nightmarish creature. But you get my point. Rathalos is just really solid design for a monster. A tier. Guardian Rathalos. B tier. Rathian! I'm not gonna lie, I'm rather biased towards Rathian on this one. Have you ever heard of that whole thing where the game just clicks and you have this brain expansion moment in Monster Hunter? Well, Rathian was one of the first monsters with which that happened to me, so it holds a very special place. If anyone is looking to learn a new weapon, learn Monster Hunter mechanics in general, or simply wants to practice, Rathian is my biggest recommendation. She simply has a really well animated and telegraphed moveset, and it can teach you a little bit about behavior prediction and a lot about pattern recognition. Easy A tier. Rey Dau. So now, are you ready? Join me, dear viewer, as we embark in a journey to fell the Sultan of the Sands, the indigo glistening in the clouds. Crystal Guillotine cuts the air with thunderclap and flash. Arc tempered Rey Dau. I'll let you know that there were some comments comparing me to Aigon from Elden Ring because of that speech. And after looking into who this Aigon character was, I am pretty proud of myself. By the way, go watch my speedrun documentary if you haven't, it's pretty good. Anyways, what can you really expect with this one? Like, everybody knows Rey Dau is speak. It's not for nothing that the word Rey means king in Spanish. And with that armor set, those weapon designs, and oh god, the soundtrack! Rey Dau's theme is just incredible. You can feel the synth recreating the rays in static electricity and the constant attack of the brass hinting at the lightning strikes that happen during the inclemency weather. Rey Dau simply has everything going on for him. So yeah, he's way up in S tier. Rompopolo. Fuck you, I hate mosquitoes and you have a mosquito-ass face and I don't even want to know what kind of fan art they're making about you. Oh. Alright, that's pretty cool, yeah. So, I don't know if I'm feeling the monster design too much here. I will say that the way that Rompopolo fights is pretty cool, like using his environment and stuff, but I think the best thing about him is his armor and weapons. Like, Capcom just went, okay, make a hunter armor, and make it Balenciaga. The Plague Doctor motif is also pretty cool, especially since it's trying to imitate a lot of old-fashioned medic tools. Imagine doing an amputation with this thing! Yeesh! So anyway, just from the armor alone, he crawls his way into B tier. Seregios! Man, I don't know how to feel about Seregios. Someone just went, hey, how about we make ADHD a monster and we give it razor-sharp scales, and went with it. I guess my problem with Steve is that it is one of the few monsters that will absolutely impose their will into the fight no matter what you do. Once he starts attacking, there's very few things you can do to keep on the offensive and get away with it. On one hand, I like his design because he looks like a murderous pinecone, but on the other hand, I'm not really a fan of his fight. And no, just because you're playing with an offset weapon doesn't make him any better. I will say, however, that Seregios' weapons did some really good things for the game. While blade scale honing wasn't very popular among the melee weapons, the Seregios bow is insanely good for physical damage, and the bowguns can finally play spread thanks to him. I feel like I have to give credit to Sergio because of that. So, he goes into B tier. Uth Duna. From an aesthetic perspective, I really like Uth Duna. My only problem is that its moveset is kinda meh. I don't know. While the idea of a huge flying whale is like a very common fantasy element in many RPGs, the constant belly flops that Duna does do get old a bit fast. I'm afraid this monster is, in a way, limited by its design, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because from an ecology perspective, it makes total sense that Uth Duna would try to overpower you with its sheer weight. But from a video game perspective, it doesn't really strike a very powerful impression when you fight it. I'd even say that the best things about this monster are the things that you can see outside of combat. Like when Uth Duna is swimming up a waterfall, or when it is trying to eat fish. There's this really cool video, I'll leave a link in the description because I can't really read this title, where someone follows Uth Duna around and they show you how it looks when it goes underwater. Like, imagine being there and seeing this huge fish with beautiful glistening fins just swimming right next to you. It looks wonderful. I think Uth Duna is one of the few monsters of the roster that leans into the ecology of its design to a fault, and I actually really respect that quite a lot. So yeah, Uth Duna for me is probably at the top of the A tier. Xuwu! Shut up! Alright, so if you learned anything from the things I said about New Udra, you probably already know that I really like Xuwu as well. Now, one of the things that I really like about Xuwu is that you will be fighting him, everything is going great, until he grabs you and then... What was... So yeah, S tier. Yian Kut-Ku. Imagine being this dude and getting absolutely mogged by the Quematrice. Nadie es tan gallo como el quemagallo. ¡Hostia, jolines! ¡Vete humillado, tier C! So, if you don't know already, I have a whole video of Zoh Shia that is basically just fan service. To say that I like this monster is an understatement. Get it? The funny thing though is that everybody was losing their minds when Wilds had just released because of this monster. So people in the Monster Hunter community were speculating all sorts of things. So in I go, and I make this video, it blows the fuck up, it's the most popular video I've made so far. And then, the very next day, Oceanis and My Name is Bife do a podcast where Oceanis goes, there is no connection between Zoh Shia and the other Elder Dragons. And also, Fatalis does not regenerate. And I'm like, holy shit, did I just almost create another Deviljho eating its tail situation? Anyway, I still really liked making that video. The whole reason why I was so dazzled by the Zoh Shia fight is because I recognize all the different attacks from these other monsters, which a lot of people argue that they're just reused assets due to the fact that Zoh Shia shares the same exoskeleton as many other monsters of that size. But I don't care! To me, Zoh Shia is a beautiful blend of build-up, presentation, environmental storytelling, and cohesive narrative elements that just made the end of low rank such a nice treat. It was pure, unadulterated fan service for me personally, in my opinion, from my point of view, in my headcanon based on my value system. S tier. Listen. Rating Omega is extremely easy. All you gotta do is go to reddit/r/monsterhunterrage and then go to the search box and type Omega. Scroll down a little bit until you find a post suited to your interests. And indulge. If I may, a dramatic reading of Fuck Omega Planetes and everything it stands for. Hope you enjoy. I remember watching the initial trailer revealing title update 3. I was excited for the Chocobo secret, the Morval Palico, even the Pictomancy. But above all else, I was excited for the fight against Omega Planetes, as we have quite literally have never fought anything like this before. And honestly, this fucking piece of shit clanker is a goddamn waste of a monster slot! All this fucking tin can does is spam fire all over the place! Rockets! Rocket Fist! And all the other fucking bullshit that comes with that! This bastard is worse than Eschaton, worse than Behemoth, worse than fucking everything beforehand! I would rather be hip-checked by Blasius and rammed by Buldrum while the Kushaladora's fucking wind barrier is laughing nearby enough to stunlock me than fight this annoying, frustrating bitch-ass motherfucker ever again! I ain't even going to bother with the savage version, as killing the normal version was cancerous enough! End of transmission. Alright, so you get the idea. So yeah, Capcom, don't you dare nerf Omega. S tier. And that brings us to the end of this tier list. Here's the end result. Damn, a lot of monsters in S tier, huh? And most of them are from Wilds. Well, to be fair, I was never going to try and be objective about this tier list. The truth is, I really like monsters in Monster Hunter. Even the ones that I put on D tier have something unique that made a really big impression the first time I saw them. Getting to know more about their ecology and their behavior, especially when those things are reflected in the combat of the game, is what I think has always put the creature design of Monster Hunter on a league of its own. The fact that I put so many monsters from Wilds on S tier is proof that the Monster Hunter developer team is still at the top of their game with their monster and ecology design. And that is something that throughout the whole shitstorm that the Wilds development cycle has been, really carried the experience from the start for me, even to this day. I know that this list is extremely biased. I always say the same thing. I really like Monster Hunter as a franchise. And this is one of the main reasons. Each and every one of these monsters is an attraction all of their own, so full of personality, charm, and outright ingenious design. So, to be fair, trying to make this tier list while being unbiased was like giving myself the stupidest blue balls for no good reason. I just hope that you guys can see where I'm coming from. Friends, thank you so much for watching. I know that I have been a bit absent, but a lot has been going on, and there's times where you cannot really ignore what's happening in real life. That said, I'm happy to be back making videos, and I hope to see you all again in the future. One thing before I go. The Hunter Awards for 2025 are currently in the works. It's an event where the Monster Hunter community just gets together to celebrate and share the work of different creators and members of the community all over the internet. You can find all the information you need on their Twitter account. But to give you an idea, there's gonna be nominations for all sort of different categories. From lore master to speedrunner to cosplayer to streamer, you name it. I will leave some links on the description so that you can check them out. Nominations are open to vote on your favorite creators. My personal vote goes to Bowmonk, an extremely underrated channel that makes incredible edits that synchronize music with gameplay in an extremely satisfying way. Just look at this! This shit literally free dopamine, I'm telling you! Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to share your thoughts about this tier list or any specific monsters, I'd be happy to read your comments. And hey, if you like this tier list, check out this other tier list I made about the technological complexity of the weapons in Monster Hunter. I've seen some people really enjoy that video as well. So yeah, take care of yourselves, hope you're having a great Halloween! And as always, my name is Sun, and until next time.